What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. I'm a mechanical engineer with his MBA, and I've taught finance for over 20 years. And I received a question from one of my subscribers that literally kind of blew my mind. Essentially, they were asking me, Chris, what would happen to America if every Black American immediately left this country overnight? What would happen to the United States of America? And as I started doing research on this particular question, it literally blew my mind about how it would negatively affect America if every Black person left America overnight. So with that, let's get started. So the first thing that would happen to America if every Black American decided to leave America overnight is that America would immediately suffer a catastrophic financial collapse. People, there are 47 million Black Americans in this country, and the U.S. economy once again will literally collapse overnight if all of us got up and left. Right now in America, there are 47 million Black Americans, and we have an annual spending power of 1.7 trillion with a T dollars. That means if Black Americans were a sovereign country, we would be the 14th wealthiest country in the world. And Black Americans, our annual spending power currently is higher than the GDP, the gross domestic product, of Mexico, South Korea, Holland, Saudi Arabia, Poland, Spain, Australia, and Singapore, just to name a few. And this is not just consumer cash either, everybody. This is money that is essentially moving through our economy through every level of society. The Black American dollar, it fuels small businesses. It pays for taxes that fund schools and hospitals. It drives entire industries from entertainment to fashion and to sports. Now imagine those trillions with the T instantly left overnight. Retail stores would close, real estate markets would completely crash in regions like Washington, D.C., or major economic hubs like Atlanta, Houston, Detroit, Charlotte, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York City, just to name a few. And if Black Americans got up and left, those major metropolitan cities would start to resemble places like South Hill, Virginia, Pawtucket, West Virginia, and Spofax, North Dakota. Everybody, there are over 3 million with an M Black-owned businesses in America. They would immediately vanish overnight if every Black person got up and went somewhere else. And countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Jamaica, Paris, Canada, Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Portugal, and the UK would benefit by getting an influx of nearly $2 trillion annually every year with the Black American dollar. Why? Because those countries have a reputation of being very friendly to African Americans and the Black people. Everybody, additionally, these Black entrepreneurs, these Black lawyers, these Black doctors, these Black entrepreneurs, these Black engineers, and these Black scientists and medical doctors feel comfortable taking their excellence to these other countries. And businesses that employ millions of people that aren't Black but are owned by Black people, such as Lowe's, Denny's, those kind of restaurants and those types of establishments would close overnight, and unemployment will literally skyrocket all across America. And then there's a tax base. Everybody, hundreds of billions with a B dollars in annual tax revenues are generated by African Americans. And if we got up and simply left and went to another country, somewhere in the Caribbean, somewhere in West Africa, that means that tax dollars from America, hundreds of billions of dollars every day, would literally vanish and disappear overnight. Everybody, if every Black American left, Medicare is gone, Medicaid is gone, Social Security collapses, and the money that funds everything from roads to defense to Social Security would immediately dry up overnight. Black entrepreneurs, everybody, according to a 2024 study done by CNBC, are the fastest growing group of entrepreneurs in America. According to a study done by Charles Schwab, Black Americans are the fastest growing group of investors in America. So economically, without Black America, the United States isn't just weaker, it is financially unstable and would literally collapse. Black Americans, we make up 13% of the U.S. population labor force, but we make up a tremendous part of the economy in this country. Also, if you take a look at white collar and blue collar jobs, America right now has a serious epidemic on its hands. Why? Because we simply do not have enough white collar or blue collar professionals to run this country. Black Americans have a major representation in science, in technology, in engineering, in mathematics, in healthcare, in law, in finance, in public education, in transportation, and in the blue collar industries. Additionally, according to a 2024 study done by CNBC and by the Department of Labor, America will have a shortage of 105,000 doctors in 2030. America will have a shortage of 400,000 engineers by 2030, and America will have a shortage of about 85,000 scientists by the year 2030. America will also have a shortage of about 208,000 registered nurses by 2030. For the record, there are over 60,000 Black lawyers in America. There are over 443,000 Black registered nurses in America. There are over 190,000 Black engineers in America. There are over 40,000 medical doctors in America. There are over 125,000 Black scientists in America. People, that is nearly 1,000 black medical doctors, lawyers, nurses, engineers, and scientists in the United States of America. So if every black medical doctor, if every black registered nurse, if every black engineer, like your boy truly, and every black scientist packed up our bags and went to West Africa, we went to Ghana, we went to Nigeria, we went to the Caribbean, we went to Jamaica, we went to Paris, we went to Colombia, we went to Dominican Republic, our intelligence and our entrepreneurship and our excellence will go with us, as well as our money that we paid in America every year. And America would economically and intellectually collapse. Now, let's talk about my blue collar professionals. According to a 2024 study done by CNBC and the Department of Labor, America will have a shortage of 80,000 electricians by 2030. America will have a shortage of 150,000 steam fitters, HVAC technicians by 2030. And America will have a shortage of 65,000 plumbers in 2030. And a shortage of about 125,000 carpenters by 2030. According to another study that was done in 2025 by CNBC, there are over 45,000 black HVAC startup and steam fitter technicians here in America. There are 27,000 black electricians in America. There are 35,000 black plumbers in America, and there are 28,000 black carpenters in America. People, that is over 133,000 blue collar professionals that are black plumbers, that are black HVAC startup technicians, that are HVAC steam fitters, and that are carpenters and plumbers. So if every black American electrician, every black American plumber, every black American HVAC startup technician, every black American steam fitter, and every black American carpenter got up, packed up their bags, and left America, and we took our intelligence and our entrepreneurship and our excellence abroad and our money to West Africa or to the Caribbean or to Europe, America's blue collar industry would literally and immediately collapse overnight. So once again, if every black American got up and left, who would run our schools, our universities, who would run our hospitals, and who would build our infrastructure? The gap wouldn't just be inconvenient, it would literally be catastrophic for the United States of America. So the first thing that would happen if every black American left America is that America would immediately lose 1.7 trillion with the T dollars in spending power every year, and economically our country would sadly probably collapse overnight. The next thing that would happen if every black American left America overnight is that America would suffer an immediate and a catastrophic intellectual collapse. History has sadly erased the memories of black scientists, black engineers, black medical doctors, and black professionals, or they simply lie and accredit their achievements to white men. But in reality, without the intelligence and the ingenuity of black Americans, our country would be extremely different and not in a good way. So imagine if Garrett Morgan didn't create the gas mask. America would have lost World War I. Imagine trying to drive your car in any major metropolitan city in the world if Garrett Morgan did not create the 3-color stoplight. Imagine if Lewis Latimer didn't create the light bulb. Yeah, the same light bulb that Thomas Edison stole and got the patent for. Every history book has given him the credit for. That was invented by a black man, the filament by a guy named Lewis Latimer. Imagine if George Washington Carver did not literally save the entire U.S. farming industry in the American South after it was destroyed during Reconstruction by literally revolutionizing the way and the agricultural ways that Southern farmers planted their crops. Because George Washington Carver taught Southern farmers that if you essentially stop growing cotton and you spend 1 or 2 years growing soybeans and growing peanuts, you pretty much put nutrients directly back into your soil. This saved millions of white farmers in the South from starving to death during Reconstruction in the early 1900s. And it diversified the Southern economy from only growing cotton. Imagine if Charles Drew did not create the blood transfusion and blood banks, which literally saved the lives of millions of troops during World War II, and it literally saved us from losing to the Nazis. Imagine if Alex Miles had never created the safety mechanisms for elevator cars that are still used in every high-rise in the world from friggin' Dubai to South America. That would mean that cities like Chicago, Miami, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, and New York City would literally not have a single skyscraper. Imagine if Frederick McKinley Jones had never created the portable refrigeration machine that is still being used to this day to transport food from Maine down to Texas. Imagine if Henrietta Lacks, her immortal genes were never stolen and they were never used to eradicate polio. That would mean kids would still be dying of polio today. Imagine Dr. Kazima Corbett had never created the COVID vaccine. That would mean that thousands of Americans would still be dying from COVID every day. A lot of inventions, everybody, that we use every day here in the United States of America were literally created by black men and black women that have literally been erased and forgotten from history on purpose, I might add. And a lot of their achievements have unfortunately been stolen and been accredited to white men. The next thing that would happen to America if every black American got up and left this country is that America would immediately suffer a catastrophic intellectual collapse, of which it will probably never come back. Please hit the notification button so you know when I drop new content. It helps the algorithm, and I thoroughly enjoy giving you guys free content. Additionally, if you want to go to college for free, check out my scholarship book right here, which can be purchased on Amazon, where I talk about how I got over $300,000 to get my engineering degree for free. The next thing that would happen if every Black American left America overnight is that we would immediately suffer a huge cultural void. Everybody, economics and to some extent science doesn't make a country, its culture does. And the things that define the United States of America are literally interwoven into the Black American culture, into the Black American experience. What happens to the soul of this country if every Black American just got up and left overnight? Without Black Americans, everybody, you don't got rock and roll. You do not have hip hop. You don't have R&B. You don't have jazz. You don't have blues. You don't have gospel music. You don't have funk. You don't have the heartbeat of American sound. You lose the rhythm that made the world dance. You lose fashion influence. You lose trends. You lose that swag. You lose the language. You lose the things that shape America and that makes it cool, from New York City to Tokyo. Without Black Americans, everybody, you lose storytelling. You lose the creativity that turned pain into poetry, that turned struggle into style. Without Black America, everybody, America literally loses its cultural and its global voice. Because when you think about it, the entire world's fascination with American culture, everybody, is essentially Black culture. Whether it's from our music to our slang to our film to our sports, it's rooted, and once again, in Black innovation. From Beyonce to Jay-Z, from Michael Jackson to Dr. Dre, from Michael Jordan to LeBron, from Barack Obama to Serena Williams, from Denzel Washington to Ava DuVernay. We're not just participants, everybody. We literally define the American culture that America exports abroad to the rest of the world. Now, what would happen if all 47 million of us Black Americans just got it and moved to Ghana, West Africa, or to Nigeria, or to Canada, or to Panama, or to France? What would happen if we all left? No disrespect to my non-Black listeners, but the world would literally say, where did America's flavor go? Because culture isn't just entertainment, it's identity. Imagine watching the Super Bowl with no Black players. Imagine watching NBA All-Star Weekend with no Black players. Imagine gymnastics without Dominique Dawes or Simone Biles. Imagine the subways in New York City and Philly without breakdancers. Imagine professional boxing without Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Mike Tyson. Imagine Chicago, Los Angeles, Atlanta, and Detroit without soul food. And if every Black American got up and left, our country would literally lose its soul. Imagine the NFL without Jerry Rice, Barry Sanders, Michael Vick, or Jalen Hurts. Tennis without Serena Williams or Kofi Golf. If every Black American got up and left America overnight, our country would literally lose its cultural soul. Next, the next thing that would happen to America if every Black American got up and left is that America might as well just cut its Olympic medal count in half. According to a 2020 census, Black Americans will make up 12% of the U.S. population. According to the International Olympic Committee, Black Americans in the 2016 Olympics won 40% of the gold medals in Rio. We won 35% of the silver medals in Rio, and we won 32% of the bronze medals in Rio. Black Americans in 2020 in the Tokyo Olympics, we won 37% of the gold medals. We won 34% of the silver medals, and we won 33% of the bronze medals. In 2024 in Paris, Black Americans won 40% of the gold medals, 35% of the silver medals, and 38% of the bronze medals in Paris. And this is with us only making up 12% of the population. So if every Black American got up and left the United States of America, you might as well just cut our Olympic medal count literally in half. So I want you to drop a comment below. What do you think would happen economically and financially to the United States of America if Black Americans just overnight got up and left and went to a different country and took all of our excellence and our money with us? Please leave that comment below, okay? Next, the next thing that would happen to America if every Black American left overnight is that America would suffer an immediate political and cultural fallout. Black Americans, everybody, we're not just athletes and we're not just entertainers. We're innovators, we're educators, we're scientists, and we are engineers. Research would slow, innovation would stall, health outcomes would significantly worsen, and politically, the U.S. map would literally change overnight, and it would be for the worst. Black Americans, we make up one of the most powerful voting blocks in the history of this country. And in many states, our votes literally decide elections. My people, we went from picking cotton to picking presidents, from local school boards to the presidency. Without our presence, entire political movements will lose their foundation. And without the voting power of Black Americans, I hate to say this, but Jim Crow would immediately come back for my Latino and my Asian Americans that decide to stay in the United States of America. The conversation on civil rights would collapse. The conversation on social justice would collapse overnight. And no disrespect to my other minority groups, but history has sadly shown that progress in America has always been pushed forward by Black Americans. Whether it was Crispus Attucks, a Black soldier being the first man to die in the Revolutionary War in 1776, or the Civil Rights Act of 1964, or the Voting Rights Act of 1965, or the Hart-Celler Immigration Act of 1965 that literally opened up the door for millions of Cubans, African, Asian, Dominican, and South American brothers to come to America. So without Black Americans, the country not only becomes quieter, it becomes vastly more racist and vastly more dangerous and unequal. The next thing that would happen to America if every Black American left overnight is that America would suffer an immediate cultural fallout, and it will be vastly less safe and vastly less equal for my minority communities that stay in this country. The next thing that would happen to America if every Black American left America is that America would have an immediate moral reckoning. America, in my opinion, is the greatest country in the world to build generational wealth. We have 22 million millionaires in this country. Roughly 12% of our population are millionaires. And America likes to call itself the land of freedom. But let's cut right to the chase. America was built on murdering 100 million with the M Native Americans. It was built on enslaving Black people from 1619 to 1865. As a group, we as African Americans have turned centuries of racism from slavery to Jim Crow to redlining districts to housing discrimination to the war on drugs to mass incarceration and to modern day voter suppression into art, into innovation, into leadership, into finance, and into resilience and entrepreneurship. Black Americans, everybody, became the mirror that forced America to look within itself and to ask if its promises is liberty were real or just words on constitutional paper. And without Black Americans, America loses that moral mirror. The conscience of this nation goes silent, and you can't separate Black Americans' struggles from its greatest growth. The conscience of this nation literally goes silent, and Black America has literally been at the center of both. We are living proof that redemption is possible and that America can or cannot change. The last thing that would happen to America if every Black American got up and left overnight is that the country we went to, whether it was Ghana, whether it was Jamaica, whether it was Trinidad and Tobago, whether it was France, whether it was Portugal, whether it was Brazil, whether it was Colombia, whether it was Nigeria, whether it was West Africa, whatever country you went to would immediately become a hyperpower overnight. Imagine what would happen if 47 million Black Americans with an annual spending power of nearly $2 trillion annually just showed up at your front door. This is hundreds of thousands, nearly a million Black American entrepreneurs, athletes, electricians, scientists, engineers, carpenters, mathematicians, medical doctors, scientists, teachers, and plumbers showed up with their financial excellence and their professional skill set. Imagine we took our $2 trillion of annual spending power once again to this other country, or to any country that currently has the reputation of being friendlier to and nicer to Black people. This new region, this new country would immediately experience an economic hyper explosion. Decades of U.S. experience, decades of U.S. innovation, education, and capital would all be concentrated in one magnificent place. While the United States of America during that exact same time period would literally become a cultural ghost of its former self. The financial industries in America would collapse if Black people left. Economically, our country's industries would collapse if Black Americans left. Medicare and Medicaid would be gone. Social Security once again would be gone. And the rhythm, the pulse that made America great and what everyone in this world tunes in to see what's cool about America, that would leave as soon as Black Americans did. And to some extent, everybody, if you want to know what happens if Black Americans get up and leave an area, look no further than Jim Crow South. If you take a look at certain states such as Mississippi, such as South Carolina, such as Alabama, such as Louisiana, these were states that at one point, because of slavery and the cotton industry, they were the wealthiest literal places in the world. But as soon as Black Americans left and slavery ended, and we pretty much took our excellence up north to the Clevelands, to the Ohios, to the DCs, the New York Cities, to the Los Angeles, to the Portlands, those northern cities became economic hyperpowers, and the South collectively has died. And the South also currently ranks pretty much economically at the bottom of pretty much every statistical, educational, and healthcare metric in this country. So epilogue, what does this thought experiment teach us? It's not just about leaving, everybody. It's about realizing our power and our leverage. It's about understanding how deeply we as Black Americans matter to this country, to the United States of America, to the culture, and to the spirit of this great nation. Because the truth is, everybody, America without Black America ain't America at all. As Black Americans, everybody, we are the soul of this nation. We are its rhythm. We are its conscience. We are its creative spark. We built America. We shaped America, literally and figuratively with our friggin' hands and our blood. And we continue to elevate this country, regardless of what they say in the history books. So instead of imagining what happens if we leave America, maybe it's time America recognize what happens because we decided to stay here. Because if every Black American invested roughly 20 to 25% of our income every year into a total stock market index fund or into property or into land, That would be roughly $400 billion with a B invested every year into an asset and not a liability. And if every Black American did that in less than one generation, we would be the wealthiest group of individuals in the history of this world and on the planet. And if you get a chance, I want you to check out this podcast right here, where I talk about Black Americans are not poor, because I'm sick and tired of seeing a lot of Black social media influencers who look like me pressing this garbage that we're poor people because it helps their algorithm. Because when it boils down to it, statistically speaking, there is nothing poor about the African American community or the Black community in this country. It's your boy Chris. I'm out. Peace.